Hello, I'm Lori Steiner, sitting in for Armin Budish. Welcome to Golden Opportunities.
Today, healthcare reform may be good for our well-being, but what about our wallets? We'll total the tax impact. AIPIL. What do these mean to YOU? We'll spell out the ABCs of senior speak. The Cleveland Museum of Art now offers culinary masterpieces. We've reserved a table to talk about the new palate pleasers. Plus, we'll prescribe care designed especially for seniors. And we'll explain how to keep mom, dad, or spouse at home and not in a nursing home with the help of an elder care coordinator.
It's time to get GOing, so pull up a chair and join us at our kitchen table for Golden Opportunities. We'll soon be turning the calendar to a new year, but will 2013 be an unlucky number? While the new year will continue to bring big improvements to health care as a result of the Affordable Care Act, some of those improvements do come at a price. Jim Lineweaver is here to tell us all about taxes that come with health care reform. Jim is a certified financial planner with the Lineweaver Financial Group. Welcome again to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So when we're talking about these costs, we're talking about Medicare taxes, right?
We are, and they're all going up in 2013, unfortunately, so enjoy it while you have it. But right around the corner in 2013, what happened is for the we call it Obamacare, if you will, to help pay for this new health care bill. What they did is they actually came up with the unearned income Medicare contribution tax. So a little bit of a mouthful.
Is there no short name for a tax bill?
No. But it can actually hit people in two ways.
Okay.
And it's mainly going to go after the higher income earners. But it's not only for increasing just the straight tax, but they're also bringing another new tax in for investment income and stuff. So it's going to hit many people in many ways.
Okay, so let's talk about the increase in the tax first.
Okay. Well, Medicare was charging for tax for higher earners. What's going to happen if you're single, it's going to be over $200,000. For a married couple, it's going to be for incomes over $250,000. And you used to pay a 2.9% Medicare tax. Now that's increasing 0.9, so a little less than 1%, but it's going to 3.8%. So it doesn't sound like a big increase, but when you actually crunch the numbers, the amount of what you used to pay compared to what you will be paying does go up, and that's why we have an example for your viewers.
Okay, yes, I think we need an example.
Yeah. So let's say you're single and you own a small business and your income is $245,000 for the year of 2013. Normally, the previous Medicare tax, you would have paid about $7,100. You're now going to be paying over $7,500. Doesn't sound like much, but that's a 5.7% increase from what you paid last year.
Okay.
So it does go up. And then if you add into it this next tax we're going to talk about, it can really take a chunk out of your wallet.
Okay, and that's the new tax. This is something that's never been taxed before.
Totally new tax.
Okay, so tell us about that.
Well, this one is an investment, kind of think of it as an investment tax. So any interest that you have on your savings or checking account or CDs, any annuity distributions that you're going to take, any type of capital gains or passive income off some real estate and things, these are all going to get hit now with the normal tax you had plus another 3.8%.
Okay, more taxes. Give us another example, I think, at this point.
Be happy to. Okay, so let's say you have a married couple and they have $300,000 of income, but what helped make up that $300,000 was $50,000 in investment income. So from that, around that $50,000, you're going to have to pay an additional $1,900 in Medicare taxes that you didn't have to pay before. So not only was it added to your income and you're paying income tax on it, now you're going to add another 3.8% to what you previously paid.
So we're getting a lot of new benefits, right? But we're also paying what seems like kind of a hefty price for that.
Yeah, and sometimes it can be like a double whammy. But as long as people understand that there's some good planning you can do, and that's why we always do.
Good planning. That's always what we want to hear.
We always do year-end tax planning with our clients. So if you're thinking about selling something or doing anything, you may want to, you're thinking about maybe carrying that into next year, think again, try to get it in this year. It might save you a lot of money.
Ooh, okay. Good tips. So if you have a high income, you may pay more taxes under the new Affordable Care Act. But keep in mind that seniors do get some tax protection because withdrawals from IRAs and 401ks aren't taxed at the higher rates. And don't forget the added benefits you get, like less expensive medicine, free wellness checkups, and there's planning you can do. Jim can prescribe help for understanding how these taxes will treat you. Give him a call. His number is next.
For For more information, call the Lineweaver Financial Group at 1-888-313-4009 or log on to www.lineweaver.net. Next, translating retirement terminology. But first, it's not often that politicians prefer privacy to promotion. But one president pronounced, "I can think of nothing more boring for the American people than to have to sit in their living rooms for a whole half hour looking at my face on their television screens." Can you recall this camera-shy commander-in-chief? We'll say, "Who said it?" when we return.
Welcome to Breckenridge Village, a continuing care retirement community conveniently located in historic Willoughby, Ohio. Whether it's a luxury apartment, a spacious ranch home, or newly built brownstones, it's all here with the added security of knowing more care is available when you need it. Breckenridge Village offers an exciting and upbeat lifestyle, and the food is fabulous, and our staff makes you their #1 priority. Learn more about Breckenridge Village and come see our new Veal Wellness and Aquatic Center.
Log on to DealChicken.com to save 50 to 90% off. Wonderful Northeast Ohio businesses are waiting for you, from restaurants to spas and everything in between.
Here's a program note. Even though he was out in front as the first president to appear on color television, Dwight D Eisenhower was not a fan of facing the cameras. And yet, once inaugurated, he inaugurated the presence of the broadcast press in the White House to capture his press conferences.
In The Wizard of Oz, when Dorothy declared, "There's no place like home," she sure got it right. If you ask people about where they'd like to live as they age, odds are the answer you'll hear is at home. But is that necessarily the best choice? And if you do stay in your home, what steps should you take to remain there safely for as long as possible? David Schell has made himself at home on our set to share some homing advice. David is the Executive Director of Breckenridge Village not-for-profit retirement community in Willoughby. Happy to have you on the show again.
Nice to be here, Lori. Thank you.
I know in your position you must hear all the time, "A retirement home is not where I want to be. They're going to have to take me kicking and screaming out of my home if I'm going to be moving." People want to stay in their homes, don't they?
Yes, absolutely. At Breckenridge, over 500 of the residents are independent living, so most of those people are coming from their homes for the first time. And I think the home represents really everything that we've worked for. The hard thing is that the house that was designed, that we've lived in for 30 or 40 years, while that worked while we were younger, it may not be the place to be when we get older.
Things change, right?
Absolutely.
You've been on the show before talking about some of the senior speak that people have to worry about as they age. Is there some terminology out there that actually describes this, wanting to stay at home?
Well, actually, the one term that's used a lot is aging in place. And if you kind of think of the inverse of a child kind of growing up, we kind of go through that same thing as we get a little bit older. And as you think of aging in place, it's really starting to think of the needs as you change and adapt and how you're going to manage those things as you do get older.
Do you have guidelines for somebody to really think about whether aging in place maybe at their home is appropriate for them?
Absolutely. I think if you look at the terms kind of what it takes to live independently, meals, transportation, bathing, dressing, medications, all of those things, if you're able to manage those things and the household chores, that's a pretty good indication that you're able to do well today. But what happens in the tomorrows to come?
Yeah, that's a problem. How do you help people recognize when those things are happening, those changes are coming?
Well, I think for a lot of individuals, it's kind of going through the dialogue and talking process. And that's what we spend a lot of time in helping people kind of come to the conclusions that if you really do want to stay in your home, come up with a plan to do that. Sometimes there's financial reasons. But I think a lot of times people think, well, I'll just call on family or friends and that'll be the answer. And that may be a short-term Band-Aid, and you may be able to rely on your family, but is that really a realistic plan?
That's true. What are some of the services that you might want to be thinking about as you age in place?
Well, driving is always one that as we're able to drive, that's a wonderful thing. But if I'm not able to drive, how am I going to take care of my transportation? And then if you put a list of all the transportation things that
it's
you do,
huge.
It's monumental. And
right.
so I think those are the safety net things that are provided in the retirement community that work very, very well.
You don't have to worry about it. It's there.
Absolutely.
You've got a built-in, support system in a retirement community. What about the financial realities? I mean, people want to stay at home, but there's all these issues, and how do they address the financial piece of things, and what do they think about?
Absolutely, and I think sometimes we just talk about the practical realities where they'll say, well, maybe it's going to cost me more to live in the retirement community. And then we start saying, well, if you bring services in, have you really thought about the cost? And even at $10 an hour, if you kind of add that up, the costs are tremendous, and then you still have your ongoing home cost.
That's true. 24-hour daycare isn't cheap, so.
It's not.
My thanks to David Schell for taking us down the yellow brick road today. And remember, like David says, you don't have to go it alone. If you're interested in a free booklet of definitions and want more information on aging in a home-like setting, such as Breckenridge Village, you'll want to write down the number that's coming up next.
To find out more, call Breckenridge Village at 440-954-8359 or visit their website, www.breckenridgeohio.org. Next, edible art. Looking for places to go, things to do? Here's a tip for a trip that's just down the road. The Coshocton County Heritage Quilt Barns Trail sews together history through reproduced family quilts and stories. Begin in New Bedford, then thread your way through Roscoe Village and Coshocton, tying things up at Clary Gardens. To piece together this pattern of the past, call the Coshocton County Visitors Bureau at 800-338-4724 or click to www.visitcoshocton.com.
The Cleveland Museum of Art is putting the finishing touches on a few new pieces. And to celebrate, the museum is throwing a party, and we're all invited. Griffith Mann is here to paint the picture of the contemporary masterpieces we'll want to know about. Griffith is the chief curator at the Cleveland Museum of Art. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So what are we celebrating?
Well, the big thing we're celebrating is the opening of the atrium on Sunday, October 28th. That space opens up. It's a glass enclosed space, about 40,000 square feet, and it'll really clarify the whole visitor experience.
Oh, here's a picture. Oh, that looks fantastic.
So people will be able to walk right into the museum. We'll get rid of the art detour, so it's a lot easier for people to get right to the art and to gather together. It's really a gathering space for the city.
Okay. The detours used to send you all different places
to
get to where you wanted to go.
Under the construction, and now you can get lost in the collections instead of feeling lost in the building.
That's good. That's enough of a reason to celebrate. But there's more, right?
There is more. It really marks also the arrival of some of our amenities, like the new restaurant and cafe, which is called Provenance. Restaurant where you can sit down, or something more informal if you want. The
very
chef,
stylish.
Yeah, the chef that's working with us on this is Doug Katz, who owns Fire up in Shaker Square. And the idea is to draw on local resources for the food, but have a global menu, so that just as the museum is internationally significant and locally relevant, we have a global menu, but the food is coming from local farms in the area.
Okay, so that big push now to think local and grow local, you're using that, but then showing this whole global scheme of food.
Absolutely. We want the food and the variety to reflect the scope of our collections, and it's really a global museum.
Yeah, and in fact, there's a new exhibit that fits in with the global theme,
so
tell us about that.
Yeah, this is an exhibition that opens that same day. It's called Wari, Lords of the Ancient Andes. It's an ancient American civilization that came along right before the Incas, full of fantastic objects.
Oh, there's one of them.
We actually organized this exhibition, so it's a Cleveland show, and it will travel to other venues, but we have it here first, and it's full of...
okay, so the Cleveland Museum of Art put this together.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
we get it first, so that's a good thing.
And then we get to travel it and have Cleveland's name out there in the other parts of the country.
Wow, Cleveland should be out there in all other parts of the country.
It should be, absolutely.
So, in addition to the exhibit, there's even more special activities.
There is, especially on that day when the show opens. We actually have a whole series of community events that are taking place in the atrium. It's really aimed at an intergenerational audience. There'll be musical performances as well as things that you can do, and not to mention the food that you can have.
Ooh, is that one of the
Yeah, that's actually a group called Inca Sun. They're coming here to perform on that day from Peru. They do a lot of performances that draw on that great Peruvian musical tradition.
And they dress really amazingly.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing thing to see, and it will animate that space and really turn it into a vibrant place at the heart of the museum.
Okay, and this is for all ages, right?
It is all ages, and it goes from 11 o'clock till 4 o'clock, so it's really over the full course of that Sunday. There should be something there for everyone.
Something for everyone.
Yeah.
Man,
yeah.
oh man, and food, good food, and there's the information.
Yep, and all of those events are free, so we really want to feel people have a sense of ownership for that space. It's really a space that should bring the city together.
And it is a star in our downtown. So.
We hope so. Yeah, certainly.
All right. Well, thanks for giving us this good information. You can enjoy international art, culture, and cuisine just by traveling to our very own Cleveland Museum of Art. My thanks to Griffith Mann for a globe-spanning tour.
Learn more by calling the Cleveland Museum of Art at 1-877-262-4748 or click to www.clevelandart.org. Next, a doctor's visit with a senior specialist.
It's time to get up and go. An exercise minute on golden opportunities.
Hello everybody, I'm Mike Carbon from Breakout Fitness, and today we are going to do a chest fly to work our chest muscles. We're going to utilize our exercise ball and a set of dumbbells. You at home, if you don't have dumbbells, 16-ounce cans equal 1 pound of resistance, or you could just go through the motions without them. We're going to start seated on the ball. We want to maintain good posture here so we can breathe and squeeze our core to help with the balance. Now we're simply going to rock out on the ball. Move your feet as you rock. The wider your feet, the more you'll be able to keep your balance here, okay? If you want a little more challenge, keep your backside in the air. We're going to start with our hands up above our chest, and we're simply going to drop the dumbbells to our side. Just go as far as your body will naturally let you go. 12 to 15 repetitions is a great place for you to start. And remember to breathe. And now it's your turn to get up and go.
For your copy of the exercise booklet, please send $1 for postage to Golden Opportunities, 23240 Chagrin Boulevard, Suite 450, Beechwood, Ohio, 44122.
It makes sense that there are specialties in medicine. Pediatricians for children, cardiologists for heart patients, internists for family medicine, just to name a few. So it should come as no surprise that there's a specialty for aging adults. But what might be a surprise is how special the specialty of geriatrics is. The very special Dr. James Campbell is here to explain. Dr. Campbell is a geriatrician with MetroHealth. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, when we're talking about geriatrics, are we basically talking about older adults? Is it just age?
It's not really only about age. It's partially about what's the reality for that particular patient. So you may have somebody who's 55 but would benefit from a geriatrician because they have illnesses like dementia or other things that are common in older age. On the other hand, many people who are over the age of 75 or over the age of 80 would definitely benefit from help of a geriatric specialist.
Okay, so it's not just being 70 or 75, it's maybe dementia or...
we think of the 3 Ds, so dementia, delirium, depression, really the common things that are very life-threatening and very sort of quality of life-threatening for these folks. You really want to figure out how you can take their life and make it the most enjoyable. Make it so that they can enjoy and get good function with whatever physical problems may happen to exist. Our goal is to make it so functionally they can love their life.
That's an important goal. Can you give us an example?
The example I love is sort of when we sit down with a patient and we ask them, what would you like to do? She may have 5 or 6 different illnesses, high blood pressure, heart failure, diabetes, glaucoma, osteoarthritis, whatever.
Oh, a lot to handle.
Yeah, and many of those are diseases that we can't, quote unquote, cure. We can't take the disease away. But we can sit and say, okay, so what would you like to accomplish? What would you like to do? And my favorite answer was a woman who basically said to me, she said, well, I'd like to walk down the aisle at my granddaughter's wedding. There you go. That's a goal.
Concrete goal.
Concrete goal. We negotiate the rules, okay? Are you allowed to go down the hall with a walker? Oh, of course not. Can you go with a cane? No. Can you lean on the person sitting? Yeah, that would be okay.
All right.
Okay. How many steps to get into the church? How far is it? And then we really work with sort of what can we do to optimize her health. And a lot of that is non-pharmacologic, seeing whether she's getting appropriate therapy, whether she's getting appropriate strengthening to improve her osteoarthritis, working with her medications. Some of her medications may be, too much, and so that she's dizzy when she stands up, and that makes her feel uncomfortable walking. So we work with those medications. And we work really to sit towards that functional goal. And then at the end of the day, she walks down the aisle at her granddaughter's wedding, and she's totally happy.
Yeah.
She's very pleased with the result because she didn't really walk into my office saying, Doc, I want you to take away my arthritis. She knows her arthritis is still going to be there. But she says, this is what I want to do, help me do it.
Couldn't her primary care physician do the same kind of work with her?
There's a lot of great primary care physicians out there, and they can do a lot of this work. There are times, and particular times, where you may sense that a primary care physician isn't sort of specifically able to deal with certain issues. We look at particularly things like large issues in polypharmacy, too many medications, issues in the management of depression with other medical illnesses. As we talked about, issues with dementia, trying to make sure that you're working and getting somebody so that their memory works as best as can be possibly worked out. As well as things like urinary incontinence, osteoporosis, people who have frequent falls. These are the kind of things that a geriatrician is specifically trained to work with. So in those cases, and oftentimes we work in conjunction with a primary physician. They may have a primary physician they know and love, seen him for 30 years.
But you can add a whole new perspective and dimension to that care.
Exactly.
That's a good thing to know. So when it comes to focusing on your priorities, a geriatrician may be just what the doctor ordered. To find out more, use the information that's coming up next. My thanks to Dr. Campbell for joining us today.
If you are 55 or older, we invite you to join MetroHealth Advantage. Membership is free and provides access to free health education seminars, MetroHealth discounts, and a wide array of helpful services, including expert advice on Medicare. To join, call 216-957-2800 or visit metrohealth.org/advantage. Next, help is now available to find the best care possible for your loved one.
Sometimes it's about beating the clock. Sometimes it's about beating fate. And sometimes it's about beating the unimaginable. But there's one opponent our team loves to beat more than any other. We love beating the odds. We are the MetroHealth System. We are the proud sponsor of the comeback.
Did you miss a phone number or website? Then here's your second chance, because we're going to list all of that information again. Then we'll be back with a specialist who can help your mom and dad's special situation. Mom or dad needs more help than you can provide. So what's your next step? A nursing home? Not necessarily. Today there are so many options available in a wide range of prices. Home care services, independent living, assisted living, continuing care communities, and more. It can all be very confusing. So how can you sort it all out? There's help available. Here with us today is Susan Krupitzer, the Elder Care Coordinator from our office. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lori.
And welcome to our office.
Thank you.
First of all, let's start basic. What is an elder care coordinator?
An elder care coordinator is a profession that is fairly new, and every profession should be familiar with it. It encompasses long-term care, assisted living, senior living apartments, and the whole facet of long-term care and aging in place.
Good. Okay. So lots of options there. How do you make yourself familiar with all of these possibilities?
I don't think there's any shortcuts to it. I think you have to just go out, research, get to learn every assisted living, every nursing home, every home health care agency, every possibility for a patient, and find what's best for their situation at that time.
I understand you have a background in gerontology.
Yes, I am a gerontologist. I also am a licensed nursing home administrator. I've worked in home health care. I've worked in subsidized senior living. I've worked in long-term care. And I think with my background and knowledge, I'll be able to help pinpoint what a patient and family is needing, and from there, create a plan.
So how do you do that? You talk to the family, I assume, right? The patient and the family? And you get more information?
Exactly. The patient and family will meet with us, hopefully, and they'll be able to give us some insight into the patient situation and the client situation, and then from there we can figure out what's best in there for them at that time.
Isn't this something the family could do?
Not necessarily. I think a lot of people don't know what options are out there, and that's the biggest thing that I've seen in my profession, is that people think they know, that they think just the nursing home is the only option, but there are a lot of steps in between that. Keeping someone at home with home health, assisted living, independent living, or all the other steps in between. But yes, nursing home can be useful if needed, and if that's the case, and what's helpful for that situation.
Okay. Great information you brought to the show today. So, an elder care coordinator can provide you and your family with invaluable service. Make sure you're getting the best care available, at home if at all possible. For more information, give Susan Kupritzer a call. Her number is coming up next.
Call Budish, Solomon, Steiner, and Peck at 1-888-236-5173 for more information, or to schedule a speaker for your organization, or log on to www.butishandsolomon.com.
Thanks for joining us. Next week we'll meet a woman who hated her teeth, but now she loves her smile. Are you back in the dating pool? Well, we'll dive in with wise ways to make a love connection. And we'll prescribe the latest in medical news that you can use. But until then, please remember to make the most of your golden opportunities.
Would you like to join our kitchen conversation? All you have to do is call toll-free 1-877-765-1543 and leave us your question, name, and phone number. Or log on to www.golden.tv for all the latest information and show updates.